Welcome to the show, everyone. This is it. This is the day. I've got Dave Wheeler here with me. My name is Paul Killamere. This is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, across from the meteor crater we can't see anymore. I followed a giant excavator down here. So City Council is supposed to decide on this on December the 9th. It looks to me like it's a fait accompli. It's a done deal because guess what? They're doing it already. I'm in the studios of 4680Q in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And this is Capital Budget Review Day. Tomorrow, City Council hands down the capital budget. And Dave and I are going to go through this puppy for you, explaining efficiencies, giving predictions, and just basically giving you the rundown in the next hour. That's all we're going to be dealing with that. And the meeting is tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't wait to see if any of these councilors are going to stand up and be counted for and actually find efficiencies for us taxpayers, or it's going to be another around the table. We approve it, and that's it. We don't know. I'm going to talk about last year's a little bit to give you maybe a premonition into what may happen this year. Because, that's important. The way the city council has acted over their last three budgets. This is going to be their last one. Next year, there's an election, and there will be another group making decisions on the budget. Maybe.
Maybe is a big maybe, because I don't see too many people turning out to change the election, to change your electors. I think pretty much everybody that's there is going to stay there. Mike Strange might move down a few notches. He might not be the first, but he might come in third or fourth because of controversies. But everyone else will probably be around the same. Remember, too, we have Dabrowski and Cario back in the mix. They might just stay. They were voted out last time, but I don't see anyone stepping up that could take their place as yet anyway, but we'll see.
If a past performance is worth anything, they've been there for 20 years, a lot of these guys, for a long time. So you could be well right, Dave. They ain't going anywhere. So let me get to my sponsors first. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, Hamel Machine Company. Listen, winter's coming, you know it, so don't fool around. FAFO, because that's what's going to happen to you if you don't be proactive. Get your car into Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop. Get it checked out. Get it winterized. Make sure it's running tip-top and all your systems are working, especially your heaters and your coolant. You want to make sure you have antifreeze in there so it doesn't freeze up on you. Just get it all checked out. Then you don't have to worry about your winter of running around all over the place and breaking down in rotten weather and having some huge repair bills, because it's pay me now or pay me later. It's your choice.
A little bit now. Your battery. Batteries are the big
battery.
Thing.
That's right.
Batteries are one of those things that kind of sneak up on you.
Yeah, especially when it gets cold. Wild Bills will check all that for you. You don't have to worry about it. Just get it in Oakwood Drive, next to the Kia dealership. You can't go wrong. WildBillsAuto.ca. Go to the website. You can see everything they do and make your appointment. Now, while you're at the website, jump over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel, Paul Lemire 4793, or Your City, Your Voice. Look it up that way, and you'll find it, and you can subscribe to the channel. You'll get a notification when I drop another video, usually around 3 in the afternoon. The video goes on. If you prefer, you can listen live on 4680Q at noon every day, and you're going to be all set. Come on, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments. The algorithm follows this kind of stuff. It gets the video out there to more people. This is a big party. The more people, the better. Help us out. Subscribe to the channel and tune in, because we have a lot of good information here, usually on Your City, Your Voice. Wheels. Okay, we're going to get to the capital budget, but before we get into the capital budget, let's just explain exactly what's going on here. Every year, the city, much like your household, hands down a budget. Now, the capital budget is for expenditures for certain items like vehicles, one-time payments basically on certain things. Once they get through that spending, then they get into the operations budget, which is the day-to-day operation of the city. So things like computers, desks, Cars, trucks.
Wages.
Yeah, wages is operation. Yeah, wages is in the operation budget. Capital budget is desk, computers, that kind of thing. Operations is what it costs to run the city. Like Dave said, wages, ongoing costs, hydro, all the bills for all the buildings, the library, what it costs us to have that. So just understand that there's two separate things. We're dealing with the capital budget right now, and that has gone from 50 million last year approximately to 78 million this year, a substantial increase over last year.
Yeah, think of it as your house. You have a couch is a one-time buy,
but
your electrical bill is continuous, right?
Yeah, or a new roof on your house, or a new driveway. That's capital cost. But like you said,
it's usually a one-timer.
Your
and
utilities.
Then the operating is what you see day to day.
Your day-to-day costs, your utilities, your whatever. What the cost to operate, food, insurance, hydro, whatever you have to spend month by month or whatever, that's what it is. Insurance on your house, it's all operating. So that's what we're going to get into is the capital budget. So you know the difference. The operations budget will come in January. That's when they start looking at that. Now, first, I want to take a trip down memory lane. We're going to go in the Wayback Machine and go to 2024, that capital budget, because I think that when you see how council handled it last year, it might give you a little bit of insight into what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's not good.
Is it Professor Peabody in the Wayback Machine?
Poindexter and Professor Peabody. Pinky in the brain, more like it. We're going to rule the world. But so when we saw last year's meeting, and this was their third budget last year. This will be their fourth and final one for this council anyway. 3 years in, they weren't any better than they were the first year, to be honest with you. They seemed lost when it came to the budget. They really didn't seem interested in the capital budget anyway. And you ask why? Well, when you have 382 pages of expenses and revenue coming to talk about your budget, and nobody has any recommendations for efficiencies. Nobody really said anything. I'll go through the people who did in a minute. You have to wonder what the heck they're doing when you have 8 city councilors and one did a really good job and had a chart of what they wanted to save. The other 2 were superficially grandstanding, and the rest had no opinion. Wayne Campbell, God rest his soul. I love Wayne Campbell, good guy. He couldn't attend the meeting because he was ill, of course. 2 councilors never said a word for the whole meeting last year. That was Dabrowski and Baldinelli. 3-hour meeting, 382 pages, not a word, no opinion, no efficiencies, basically nothing. Now, Councilors Newstig and Patel wasted time. Their mumble jumble of word salads and patting staff on the back for a job well done. Patel suggested sending it back to staff for efficiencies. Didn't recommend anything herself. Then Newstig wanted to take $50,000 off the fire department's $30 million budget. $50 million, and she found $50,000 that could save the taxpayers some money. So, I mean, at that point, you go, why bother?
What's a cent a house, really? Come on. It's a big savings, man.
Oh, my goodness. Strange was an embarrassment at the council. His whole mission for that meeting appeared to be to insult and dismiss Councilor Lori Lococo's recommendations. Nothing else to add, and probably never went through the budget himself from what I could see, and I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, I don't right off the bat.
Yeah, you probably don't want to.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and nobody else stood up and said anything about it. I think Dabrowski, if he said anything, it was one that he thought council did a good job on the budget. That was his words. And Patel, no, actually, Patel, this is even weirder. Patel and Dabrowski got up and said about taxpayers and blah, blah, blah. And, we can't continue to do this. And then when they voted for it, they put their hands up. Yeah. That's what happened with them.
We can't do this. Here's my vote.
So my observations on that meeting were, as taxpayers, we have the expectation that council is working on our behalf. And my advice to everybody was get that notion out of your head. 7 out of 8 people go through 382 pages of expenses. Not one of them voiced concerns over one single item out of thousands of expenditures. You have to think they're not interested, right? So Councilor Laura Lococo was the only one who really had a chart, and she was going to save us 1.5 million off the tax bill.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, the rest really had not a lot to say. Councilor Peter Angelo wanted to add 150,000 to cure the case of Phragmites in the Fernwood subdivision. Yep, and he said that the new trail that they spent. Well, it says here 13 million. I heard 17, then I heard 12. Whatever it was the number one pick when residents were asked. That's how he justified spending that much money on the NST trail. They wasted 350,000 on more crap, ping pong tables, concrete ping pong tables. That was in the capital budget. That was called the participatory budgeting.
Yeah, but remember too, we have to identify who is doing this. Like people who want more trails and want ping pong tables made of concrete. They are the people most likely to respond to these because they are the people that are comfortable with paying the taxes they already pay. So paying more taxes to them is not a major thing. And they're the people that are more likely to say, I want this and I want that, whereas the average person really doesn't have much time. All they want to do is have their taxes steady off. But when you have that participatory, the average person says, I don't want any of this. So they don't respond, right? I just want my taxes to maintain. But it's those people who have means that respond to that. I think when you look at the demographic that does respond to stuff like that, you have to find out what that demographic is. If it is a demographic that's in a comfortable place financially and can easily sustain a tax increase, then that tells you a lot. You have to be governed for everyone. And you might as well zero in on those on the more humble end, what their opinions are and what their needs are, because they're the foundation, right? And if you satisfy them, you can't help but satisfy everyone else. They might be disappointed they don't get a concrete ping pong table, but on the other hand, the person that's paying for it is also the person who has humble means.
Well, I'll guarantee you that if you went around and asked people about a $25,000 concrete ping pong table, they'd say no. That's the bottom line. No, yeah, you're not going to have anybody that says yes. I don't believe that anybody said they wanted the NST trail, and they doubled down on that last council meeting by saying that Jim Diodati said he got letters saying that people were thanking him for doing this. It's the best thing he's ever done for the city.
Well, who are they?
Who are these
what
people?
What demographic do they come from? And that is
who are these people?
My idea is those people who are quite happy to pay more taxes because they can afford it.
Yeah, well,
so they'll say, "Oh yes, we want this trail."
I think we're being fed bologna sandwiches, but that's not what we're here to talk about anyway. We already talked about that. The person presenting the budget came up with all ways to pay for everything: debt, loans, casino money, raise taxes, grants, reduce service levels. But this Mama Luke never once said we should maybe cut expenses. Not once. Not once did he say we should find efficiencies so we don't have to have a tax increase. It was all about getting money from all over the place and cutting services if we have to. But not once did he mention finding efficiencies, which is shocking and dismaying. It just bothers me. And the city hired 30 new people, I think, last year, something like that. So if you're not going to cut expenses, how about raising revenue? Well, city resident Jody Burdett came in and gave a delegation regarding ways to raise more money used and ways they were doing it in other cities. He had a great delegation. Of course, he let council in on it, and they probably just threw his stuff in the garbage because they don't like him. But they just dismissed his presentation, said, thank you very much, sit down. Not a question asked of him, no interest shown, and I haven't seen any of his ideas come to fruition. Now, Jody is also going to do a presentation this year. and has submitted his request to the city clerk. It'll be interesting to see what Jody has to say about the capital budget this year and finding efficiencies. This analysis is amazing, to be honest. Let's see what City Council does with this lengthy report that he's handing in. So that's about a review of last year and some insight into what's going to happen this year. Now, of course, if they didn't participate last year, I wouldn't expect they're going to be having their hands up much this year. But we have a variable this year, Davy boy. You know what it is? It's called an election.
Yes.
So when the elections roll around, sometimes
away,
councilors get more interested.
Yes, he could. I would expect that as we get closer and closer to the election, there'll be more and more sort of, knowledgeable explainers by different councilors. As you get closer and closer to election, they want to sort of parade their or grandstand maybe a little bit for the electorate. But that may start now. You might be right about that.
Yeah, well, the good thing is I have all the sheets from everybody who sat in this studio right here. And I'm going to be bringing them up before the election on a continual basis. And we'll see what they have to say. But I know that most of them, I asked them the question about tax increases. They wanted to hold the line on taxes, and about homelessness. They wanted to get rid of homelessness and whatever, a myriad of other things. So they haven't done any of that yet. I mean, nothing's gotten better. We've had a 18 or 19% tax increase during their 3 years, as well as homelessness has gotten worse. So whatever they've been doing, it hasn't been to reduce our taxes, nor has it been to settle homelessness. So we're going to go through that during the year, and we have our Diamonds and Coal show coming up in the just before Christmas, so that'll be interesting. I don't know if Davey's going to come in for that one, but
I don't know. But if I'm available, I will.
Yeah.
And of course, it's always interesting who gets what kind of carbon. You get the raw coal carbon, and the coal form, or do you get the refined diamond carbon? So there's two kinds of carbon. Which do you get?
Yeah, one's VS1, the other one's black.
That's right.
Okay, so now that we've kind of given you a little bit of flavor for how everything went down last year, now let's look to this year. And I've taken 3 shows to review 100 pages each show of the 330-page capital budget this year. Last year was 382. And like I said, it's gone from around 50 million last year, to 78 million this year. Now, having said that, last year they approved 50 million of capital spending, but somehow during the year, after they said we're broke, so we got to raise your taxes 5%, they found another 12.2 or 3 million to spend. And we watched that happen all year. As every meeting, it was like, we want to redo the capital budget and add on another million for this, 200,000 for that, 800. And I just kept adding them up. And last I looked, we were at probably around.
They'll just tell you the reserve funds and healthy.
Oh yeah.
You draw it out of the reserve fund.
Well, why not just take like 3.5 million out of those funds that they found that we didn't have, and say, "Oh, geez, we got this. Maybe we can just give it over to the revenue side, and give these guys a 0 increase," but they don't.
Yes, and hell hasn't frozen over yet either.
No, not yet. The Leafs haven't won the cup neither. So, we're going to get into some sports here at the City Council. Okay, so Dave, here's what I found. Here's the efficiencies of my recommendations and suggestions for efficiencies after going through 330 pages of this. First was 8.9 million to vehicles and equipment. I would like to see that reviewed for savings. I'm hoping somebody asks about that. And I know you always talk about equipment and if it's breaking down and the cost of fixing it and that, and I'm not arguing that point with you at all, because I agree with you. But at some point we got to say, well, who's telling us this? Let's take a look at it. Is there something that we can delay for a year or two to take away from that 8.9 million. So I never marked that as an efficiency that I found. I marked it as a maybe it's worth looking into.
Well, I'll tell you this: knowing something of the vehicles that the municipal works use, they were all old. They were all beat up. They were wasting a lot of money sending them away to getting fixed. As a matter of fact, they would take them to a place that fixed them somewhere around Toronto. And the big advice from the people who were fixing them is, you're wasting your money. This will cost you $80,000, and you'll be back here next year for another $80,000, and so on. Get a new one. But city council kept kicking it down the road. Now they're stuck with it. It's kind of like when they kicked down the road the water treatment and the water plants. They're aging. They're old. It's an emergency. We have to get them all done. Why kick it down the road for so long? That's what they did, previous administrations. So with the vehicle thing, I understand it very well. I've worked in industry and stuff and seen this happening. So don't kick it down the road any longer, because it will only cost us more if you do.
Okay, well, having said that, they've spent 16 million over the last 2 years, two budgets to do that. Now that's a lot of money. Now this one is going to bring it up to even more. I mean, how much equipment do we have, and how many millions do we have to spend so we're not kicking it down the road?
Well, you have to bring everything up to, because there was a point where, as far as I know, just about everything was in bad shape. Of vehicle equipment, trucks, cars, everything, but mostly the trucks and utility trucks, and everything was bad shape. So they couldn't kick it down the road any longer, so they had to put out the money. And that's what happens when you kick it down the road. Suddenly you get these big expenses. And this happens in private industry too. Having worked in private industry, they do the same thing. They kick it down the road, and all of a sudden they have this massive expense because they didn't do it gradually. We'll fix it. We'll replace this one this year. 2 years down the road, we'll replace that one, etc. Because they're always looking for efficiencies in the budget, and they always say, well, that's an expense we can deal with later. But later has limits. Sooner or later runs out. And you have to put out the dough.
Okay, that's a good argument. We'll see what that happens. If anybody asks about that, then they probably won't, but we'll see. I would for sure. $750,000 for the Meteor Crater development. Now, I just followed the excavator down here. There's a giant excavator in the hole right now. So I don't think they need this $750,000. I'm not sure what it's for. It's a done deal. It's being built. Elite Developments. They put the sign right up just a minute ago across the street. That's who's doing it. December 9th is the meeting. It's supposed to be approved. They've already did the groundbreaking today. They're doing it, and they got an excavator in there. So to me, I don't know what the $750,000 is. I don't think we need it now because it's already a done deal. When they put it in the budget, it might have been necessary. I would be definitely asking for that $750,000 savings if they're already got it going. That makes sense?
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, so question that $750,000 for sure.
$400,000 in IT hardware replacement. And this is another thing. There's a whole whack of stuff in there. 50 laptops, 60 this, 70 that. That I would review to see exactly what's necessary in that whole realm. I mean, some of these things are needed, but do they need to buy 50 computers right now? Can they buy 25 and then put 25 in next year's budget? Or do they really need 35 and 15 can go over? These are the kind of things that need to be reviewed. I'm not saying they don't need them, but I would definitely be asking about them. And, we have to kind of, when we're sitting here, put ourselves in city council's chairs, right? And say, what will we be asking about? And this is where I'm kind of picking out the things that I would be going, do we really need this? Do we really need to replace 50 computers right now? Can we get by with another year on 25 of them? Just looking to save money.
That would depend, again, on how long they've kicked the ball down the road, basically, or the can down the road. In this case, the computer can. How long have they kicked it down the road? How urgent is it? That's another thing too. It probably hasn't been redone for a very long time. We do know when Burgess came in, he was kind of appalled at how much we were in the Stone Age, basically, to sort of overstate things. We were way behind. And so what he's done is he's tried to bring things up to snuff. But having said that, yeah, do we need all that he's asking for? Is there a generic version of computer he can buy rather than anything, that would reduce that cost? But then again, that'll be up to council to make those questions.
Yes, exactly. 4.2 million for EV charging stations at 120,000. I'm gonna have the big one here, Elizabeth. 120,000 a pop. Now, I understand they need that's for 36 charging stations. 4.2 million. I think we can cut that to 2.1 million and get 18 charging stations. And next year spend another 2.1 million for the other 18 charging stations. I see this as crazy. I see this as crazy, but I would kick this one, split it in half and do half and half to save 2.1 million off the budget. That's would be my recommendation. Of course, staff is going to tell you, no, we need them right now. So this would be one that I'd really ask a question about right here.
But you're going to have someone with some sort of expertise to ask a good question about this. So you can approach staff and you can say, well, what can you split this in 2 years, whatever? And they'll say no, and they'll say this is why. And then you have to have some sort of research and dig into it to say, oh no, I can see here that there is a possibility that we can split it. Maybe 2/3, 1/3, maybe 1/3, 2/3, maybe half and half, whatever. There is that possibility because of X, Y, and Z. But if you go in blind and it's their word against yours, and you don't have the information you need to make that argument, and I believe this is the biggest problem of all, is councillors do not have the technical expertise to ask some real deep questions. And they're left with, is it or is it not? Well, do I hold this up and do something bad, or do I hold this up and do something good? They don't know. So they end up voting for it because they can't dig down deep enough to see whether or not the claims are responsible enough or not. Like, obviously, anybody who wants new stuff is going to get as much new stuff as they can possibly get.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, how much of it do they really need? And who's qualified to ask that question? That's any counselor could ask that question, but do they have the smarts to actually dig into it to find out, really? Is it urgent or is it not? Can they make that decision? Not unless they do a whole lot of research.
Well, I know one thing: level 2 and level 3 charges. One's about $15,000. The other one's $120,000. So we could mitigate that just by saying, okay, we're going to get 18 of the $120,000 ones, fast chargers, and then we're going to get 18 of the lower cost ones, just charge a little bit slower overnight. I mean, that's when they usually charge. But if they want speedy ones, they can have them just in case, and save a whack of money too. So there's different ways. There's different levels of chargers and how fast they charge. And the faster they charge, the more expensive they are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope they've done a little bit of homework and asked this question. And I mean, really, if you ask about any of these questions, if you want to get down to it, Dave hit the nail on the head, because city council, the staff can just buffalo you and say, oh, no, we need that. We just need it. That's all there is to it. And what are you going to say unless you can make a case that you don't need it?
Sure, they could throw a lot of technical terms at you and things that you don't understand. And then you got to pretend you understand what they're saying.
Okay.
So rather than do the research ahead of time.
Yeah, we're going to continue on with this. There's a few more items here that we'll go through. But I got to get to my second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. And when you're sitting at home going through the capital budget, you get hangry. Angry and hungry. That's hangry is a combination of both. And when you're hangry, if you eat, you're not as hangry anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where you call Pete's Pizza and get a great pizza. You're going to be happy. You're going to be in seventh heaven after you have one of their pizzas, using the Mancini family recipe for the sauce and crust, that beautiful mix of brick and mozzarella cheese, all put on in the right ratios on the pizza, cooked to perfection with fresh toppings. Hey, that's the way you calm yourself down and you make sure that you have a great pizza that's consistent all the time. Now they have a full menu: wings, panzerotti, chicken parm sandwiches, steak and cheese subs. They got it all there. Poutine, you name it, they got the whole menu. And they're open till 2 in the morning on Friday and Saturday for your convenience, midnight during the week. How do you get a hold of these beautiful people who know how to make pizza? Hey, easy. 905-374-2222, or go to petespizzavictoria.ca and you can order your fresh pizza. They just opened a new place out at the corner of Thoroldstone and Kaler Roads for the northwest section of Niagara Falls. You guys don't have to come all the way down here anymore. You can get a beautiful pizza right in your neighborhood. Get a hold of Pete's Pizza today. Get your pizza. You know you want one. I mean, I always do. I always want pizza every day.
That's because you're always hangry.
I'm always hangry. And I call Pete's Pizza when I'm hangry. That's right. All there is to it.
That's it. Yeah, Pete's number is like the stress line hotline.
It's
if you're stressed out, phone the stress hotline.
Yeah, there you go.
Straight to Pete's Pizza.
Yeah. 905-374-2222. Relieve your stress today. And support our sponsors. They're great corporate citizens. We like to support our small business. Pete's Pizza supports the show, so we support them. Okay, so let's move on with this craziness here. Now, there's $380,000 to purchase extra land for the hospital. And I don't know what this is all about, but I'd sure like to find out, because we've already spent $70 million on this baby. And we spent $11 million on more property because we got rooked in the first place on the first free land. And then we spent another $660,000 in the 2025 budget. Now another $380,000. What is this for? Extra land for the hospital. Who are we buying this from? Because you know who owns land out there?
Yes, Peter Angelo. And things have become very speculative after it was announced that the hospital was going there. And a lot of speculation began to happen about land surrounding it. And all of a sudden, what do we find? Oh, the hospital needs some more land. How about that?
How about that? But I'm not saying there's anything crooked or anything about it. All I'm saying is that somebody should say, why do we have to spend another $380,000?
Well, they're going to say we need the land. And why wasn't this thought of earlier on? Why wasn't this planned well?
I don't know.
And everybody will all just be pointing the finger. Well, they were supposed to do this. They were supposed to do that. We don't know. This was unexpected. We didn't understand that. So whoever, and now somebody's going to make some sweet coin.
Please use it.
Yeah.
Please use it. Oh, by the way, if you want to text a message in here about anything we're talking about, give us a shout here at 289-994-7560. That's 289-994-7560, and we'll get whatever you say on air. Okay, here's the next item. A $400,000 side pack garbage truck.
Probably how much they cost.
Oh, I'm not questioning the cost. If they told me it was $1 million, I wouldn't question the cost. What I'm questioning is, do we really need this in this budget? And that's always my question. I mean, you talk about kicking stuff down the road. This is not kicking anything down the road. This is for convenience because it's easier to load it and all that. Now, are they going to lay off a couple people because they don't need as many people? Okay, get it. If they're not, then it's an expense we maybe don't need this year. We got through it on 2025 without it. We could probably delay it another year and give it the taxpayers a $400,000 break. That's my only point with this. Is somebody going to say, no, we don't need that right now? Wants and needs. The
first thing they have to ask is, why do we need it now? And if the explanation is good enough, then you need it. If it isn't, then...
Well, they gave you the explanation. It's not good enough for me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a matter of opinion, but it's not good enough for me because it makes it easier for the operator to blah, blah, blah. Well, you're going to start getting this stuff. You better start laying people off. Even if it's through attrition, we just don't hire anybody else. You got to stop hiring because all these every one of these things that we're going to see Lori Lococo's, Councilor Lococo's recommendations later are about hiring people. And if we've got this technology that's supposed to make it easier and faster and quicker, then we're not going to need staff. That's why we're buying this technology. So if we're doing that, then we have to see results on the other side of the ledger in the operations budget, as far as wages and salaries and benefits and everything, because we should be making this work for us to make it faster and everything, and we should be getting rid of people. That's what technology is about. If this guy can run it by himself, you don't need the two other guys.
Well, they already have reduced them, the amount of operators on those trucks. Anyway.
Well, that's the contractor though. That's not city.
Yes.
This is a city truck.
Well, I mean, even if you see them, compactors and stuff like that have only one guy in the back and one driver. At one time they had the driver and he was the guy that picked the stuff up and then drove on as well. So, you should have two. It's more safe.
So that's another one. We talked about fleet replacement. $578,000 for a new fleet roadside professional brush cutter. Or bush cutter. Maybe I got a bush cutter. $578,000. New fleet roadside professional brush cutter. Another thing that they don't have now. They just figure they needed one, so they're going to throw it in the budget here. And I'm saying no. I hope other people say no.
Yeah, well, I hope they ask the question why. And I hope they can explain it well enough that you can say yay or nay to it.
No, I read it. That is no.
Yeah.
See, they need tougher guys on council. We need some guys who are going to say no. Because we got to cut somewhere. That can go for another year. We don't need that. We've been without it for how many years now? All of a sudden they want it. See, this is the thing, right?
Well, I don't know why they need it for, and how fast will this reduce the amount of man hours on any job. So now you have a piece of equipment. Will it reduce the amount of man hours that you use that thing for? How do you manage now with what you're doing that you need that for, that brush cutter? Do you use it manually? Do you use other means or trucks? Or is the brush cutter going to cut back on hours? Is it going to come back on expenses?
Well, I have a fear when anybody mentions brush cuts. So, I mean, maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
I'm paranoid.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring Curly in here, really scare you.
It's $77,000 for a semi-autonomous athletic line painting unit.
What?
Well, rather than the guys walking down the baseball lines with the lime, or now it's even easier. They got a spray paint can. They just go like this and walk with it, and it sprays out white lines for baseball or whatever. It could be soccer, it could be whatever.
Instead of using the
white they want to get a semi-autonomous one. Now maybe it's like like one of those robot vacuum cleaners. They set it up and send it down, and it paints.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
So they need that. $77,000 for that. See, to me, these are things that these guys who are department heads are just throwing in. To me, this is like, hey, listen, it's budget time. Would you like a nice brush side cutter? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Well, let's throw it in. The most they can say is no. And if we depend on our council, they're going to say yes, we know it, because we got 3 years of what they say yes to everything. This is what this kind of stuff is to me. Now, I don't know if I'm right or not. I could be wrong. Oh, there goes the excavator. It's at work. But this is the kind of stuff that they look for.
It's in good shape, too. I don't think it needs to be replaced.
Well, that's not ours.
I know.
That's why
it doesn't need to replace.
That's why it's in good shape. But I just say these are throw-ins. They're just, what the hell? We might as well ask for them. What's the most they can do? Say no. And so I'd say no. That's me. $1.225 million Build Faster Fund investment plan for the Meteor Crater. Why do we need another $1.225 million when it's a done deal? What exactly is this money for?
Explanation, please.
Please. And thank you. $597,000 for City Hall repairs. Now, This one is another one I got a question. We just finished $300,000 refurb. City Hall was closed down for 2 months. That's why they had them at the exchange, if you remember, right? The meetings.
Well, I hear Jim wants a ballroom added on to the basement.
Well, take his pants to a seamstress and get him let out.
Yeah.
He wants ballroom. Was he Trump? Well, it was closed down.
I was just sort of extrapolating there.
So I know. You listen. I don't know why we need 300,000 more. Why didn't they do whatever they had to do while they had it closed down for 2 months? But they want $300,000 more.
And that's what, for repairs of City Hall?
Yeah, they got leaking ceiling tiles. There's watermarks, and they're going to do a bunch of crap in there. I don't know. But they just finished with 600,000. Why didn't they do it right when they had it all closed down? You know, like I don't get it. So I'd definitely be asking about that one.
Because somebody kicked it down the road and they didn't do it. Now they got to do it.
Yeah, well, there you go. That could be. 104,000 updated 10-year plan regarding recreation, culture, and parks. Hold it now. They made a 10-year plan, and after 4 years, they're going to spend 104,000 to update it. Well, why bother making a 10-year plan? Why don't just make a 4-year plan and relook at it? So that 104,000, I got to ask about that. Now get this. Oh, it doesn't end, folks. It doesn't end. No. $600,000 for decorative lighting on the Waitman Bridge in Chippewa.
$7,000.
$600,000. And I love Chippewa. I love the people of Chippewa. I love everything about Chippewa. But $600,000 to put decorative lighting on the Waitman Bridge.
Why don't give the contract to Walmart? All their lights are for sale right about this time.
Well, what gets me though is that we are in the middle here of taxes that have gone up substantially in the last 3 years, and we're looking at a 6% increase this year. So, I mean, where do we say no? What do we say no to? And this is the smaller budget, $78 million. We still have the operations to go.
Well, $600,000 for lights on Wakeman Bridge. Yeah, I can see that one can be deferred. Seriously, yeah, $600,000.
Like if it's lit up this year or it's lit up in 2027, really,
doesn't make any difference.
Maybe by then Chippewa will come up and raise money and have 300,000. It only cost taxpayers 300,000. I don't know, but it just seems like.
Yeah, it seems like a fluff expense. It's nice to have your town have all lit up and all that other stuff, but there are times of prosperity when you do that kind of thing. But we are not in one of those times.
Yeah, and I'd love to see the Waitman Bridge lit up. I think it would be beautiful. But we got to watch our pocketbooks here too. Total savings for taxpayers that I had with all this stuff I just mentioned: $5.765 million. And if we say that, we would actually get a zero increase on our taxes because we only have to save about $4.2 million on a 6% increase to be able to bring it down to zero. There you go. There's your zero tax increase just by saying no to all this crap. And if you can't say no to all of it, say no to $4.2 million. And that's just that. I mean, we got lots of casino money and everything else here.
Is that a glass half full, a glass half empty, or what is that? You've got all this, you can dump it. There's your glass half full. However, when they don't do it, it's glass half empty, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that's what it is right there. Right? And Councilor Coco, she put out some capital budget amendments she would like to see, and they added up to $3.920 million.
Yeah, hers involves now. I think one of them will be shot down right away. One of them has to do with the AI trainer. AI is sparkle dust to most people now. They say AI, I must have it. AI. If it's AI, we have to have it. It's like. So I don't know, something, it's the magic word, AI. Everybody thinks they have to have a lot of it. So one of her proposals is to reduce the AI training, or AI personnel. Am I read that way?
Well, these amendments are associated with the positions. They're associated with jobs,
Yeah.
hiring, listed on pages 7 and 8 on CS 2025-59 Finance Report, page 67, AYSNF, CRM Solution, Phase 2 with AI Service Agreement Agent, Service Agent, $835,000. She's asking to delay that.
Mm-hmm.
Page 85, Work and Asset Management System Replacement, Phase 1, $2.085 million.
This also has to do with the AI somewhere. Another one there.
Asset management, this one is.
Asset management. Okay.
Work and Asset Management System Replacement. And page 237, Artificial Intelligence Building
That's
and
the one.
Zoning Checks.
Yeah.
Phase 1, $1 million. So rather than us doing zoning checks with all our staff, the AI does it for them. It's going to cost $1 million to institute that.
Is it worth it? Obviously, Lori, she does her research. She digs in. She doesn't seem to think that is necessary right now. That can be delayed.
Yeah.
I'll have to defer to her because she's the one that does the research. She's the one that looks into it. So maybe we have something there. But because it has AI in it, like I said before, that's the sparkle dust now. That's the thing that hypnotizes people.
AI.
They think they're going to be they're going to be Luddites if they don't say, okay, yeah, we got to do with the AI thing, as even though most of them don't understand how it works. So yeah, AI is the magic word now, and I don't think Lori's going to get anywhere with that. But
well, what'll happen is the penguin will get up and start giving us his gaslighting about this and that and blah, the do. Hey, what's that? A tent going up there or something? But anyway, that's what she recommended. We'll be listening tomorrow to see what.
That's what we.
There's our tax dollars.
That's Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Yeah, well, what they're doing over there, and I gotta just take a. Oh yeah, they're probably putting up a tent so that the groundbreaking ceremony can be under it, so the councilors don't get too hot.
I hope the tent falls down.
Now, she says these funds can be allocated to the roads budget, mill and pave, road rehabilitation, rural surface treatment, sidewalk replacement, urban service treatment, asphalt overlay, water, sewer, or deferred projects. So she's not recommending they give us the money back as a tax break, which disappoints me a little bit. She's asking that they just put it towards other projects. We know our roads are bad and that, so that doesn't break my heart. But I'd really, really like to see taxpayers in Niagara Falls get a break for once. That's my goal, is to see if we can get a break and maybe take that 6% down to 1.8%, like they've raised them in the thing. And remember, whatever we get here, we still have regional taxes, water and sewer, and everything to go on top of that.
Yeah, and that's not looking too good either.
No, like
they're trying to keep it down at 3.5, but that's almost like a pipe dream, really.
Yeah, they've asked for 10.
Yeah, they asked for 10, and 9.99, as if they didn't say 10 at all. Like, right, 9.99.
So I'm going to get into my third sponsor, Hamel Machine Company. Then we're going to go over to the parking budget.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hamel Machine Company, 1948, they opened in Niagara Falls, and they've been serving industry ever since then. And it doesn't matter what industry moves to Niagara Falls, what's the first thing they ask, Dave? They need
a machine shop. They need industrial help. They need industrial services of some kind or another.
And it's pretty simple. Production time is money. When those machines are running, they're making money. If they're not running, they're not making money. And today, because it's just-in-time delivery on parts, and they come from everywhere in the world. Before, they were made in North America. Now they're in Taiwan, they're in Japan, they're in Germany, they're in Korea. Who knows where they're getting them from, right? So they have to order them, and that machine's down for a couple of days waiting for parts. They're losing tons of money. So what do? They call up Hamel. Hey, Bob, can you come on over and take a look at our machine that broke down? Oh, yeah, there it is. We can re-engineer that. We can fix that. And the good thing about them is they have the skilled staff to innovate. So they could take that part and not only reverse engineer it with their 3D printer and water jet cutters and everything, they can make it better. It works better. It's more efficient, which means more production, which means
more money.
More money. Very simple. And that's what they do at Hamel Machine Shop. They've been doing it since 1948. And that's why a little shop that started in Niagara Falls in 1948 ships their innovations around the world for the wine industry, the food industry, the agricultural product industry. It's amazing what they do at Hamel Machine Company. But they haven't forgot about you, Dave. If you need something fabricated, milled, machined, whatever, they can do it for you. A specialty part, it doesn't matter. They can graphic design it, and they can do it on drawings and do it on the 3D printer. They're amazing over there. And that's neat to know when you're a resident that needs something fixed. Where do I go? Hamel Machine Company. That's where you go. Now you know. HamelMachine.ca to see all the beautiful work they do and support our sponsors. And it's great to have a machine shop like that in Niagara Falls.
Sure, like you just mentioned that we were like Pinky and the Brain. We're trying to take over the world. Well, who better to build a monster robot to do that but Hamel Machine, right?
Maybe they can design a crowbar where I can pry some dollars out of the squirrel.
Well, you have to get a squirrel cage first.
Wow.
So you can probably set one up outside City Hall somewhere.
Yeah, to pry any money out of their hands to come back to the taxpayers is almost impossible. Maybe Bob can design it.
Yeah, maybe Bob can get a squirrel cage, and then after that, something to pry open.
Yeah, something to
pry open those cheeks.
The vault. Parking budget on the agenda. It's hard to discuss since actuals are not really incorporated into the budget. Since our fiscal year runs from December 1st or to January 1st to December 31st, we still have our fourth quarter results to get in to see how we made out this year. And, like October, November, December, the fourth quarter of the year is usually a pretty weak part of the parking budget, because there's not a lot of people in Niagara Falls like there would be, say, Christmas, New Year's, that kind of thing, or in the summer, of course, is when the city's packed. So we don't know what the final numbers are going to be. And we still have to patrol the lots and make sure there's nobody parking there. So our expenses really don't go down, but our revenue sure does during those months. And then we also have to send the snow plows out if it snows and take care of all that. So taking all that into account, I'm thinking revenue will come in at around 1.5 million, with expenses coming in at 1.58 million. So we're going to have an operating loss of a few $100,000. I could be wrong on this. I'm just using predictions from past years. But either way, you have to wonder the cost versus the expense. Is it worth running it, these parking lots, just to make work programs and that kind of thing, right? If you're breaking even, why bother running them? You could lease them out to private enterprise and then recover money without any expenses.
I don't know. They say they clearly state that parking is self-sustaining without a tax levy. As a matter of fact, they're saying that $15,000 transfer from the from parking to capital special purpose reserves, and that's set aside for specific non-operational expenditures. So it looks like on the surface, it looks like the parking lots are in pretty good shape, actually sustaining themselves and actually creating a little bit extra money to move towards capital special purposes.
But for the logistics of them, are they making enough money to have to hire all these people and these guys to go, the bylaw guys, the commissioner of parking, and all these other people? Like, there's a lot of bookwork in that has to be done to run these programs. Whereas if you're releasing them out, every month you get a check from these guys without having to do anything.
Yeah, but so labor and benefits have decreased by $44,588, at 6.7%, and that's because they have had to use less labor and resources to keep it going. Part of that, of course, is the decrease in road traffic partly due to the GO train. So they are self-sustaining so far, and they're not being used as much. Not being used as much has actually saved us labor. And so I don't know. It seems to me when reading it, they hope that one day the $200,000 that it takes to sustain the parking lots can be produced by them in double the amount. Basically, they can have the 200,000 they need to operate plus another sort of $200,000 to give back to the city. I don't know if I read that right.
Yeah, I just don't find enough profit in them to run them by the city. Give them to private enterprise. Take a monthly lease charge from them all. The ones that aren't making any money, and there are ones that are losing money because we have a lot of parking lots. There's some that make a lot of money and some that lose money. Um, just get rid of them because they're not needed. Obviously, they're not making money. Why do we want to keep them? And lease the big ones out for big money and just roll the money in without having to send anybody out there. They'll patrol their own, and we just maintain them. And then I would have like condo fees, but they would be for maintenance. Whereas rather than them having to hire plows and everything else, we just do it as the city, and they pay us a monthly fee to do that. That kind of a thing, a maintenance program, like common area fees for a.
So you want this actually to go into private hands?
Yes,
but
not own the land. We still own the land. They just run the business on it, the business end on it, pay us.
Well, that could work, but because you're tied with the contract with plowing it and all these other maintaining, so is it beneficial to actually give it over to private enterprise and then actually just have your hand in the pie anyway, because you're going to have to clear the snow and maintain them.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, part of the contract could be they clear their own snow. It's their lot. You clear your snow. We're not going to be doing that. Yeah. And if we do, I mean, they're paying us for it for sure. We're not going to send people out there for nothing.
So how obligated are we to have, a city like us, to have city public parking? Every city has it. How obligated are we?
Well, we probably don't have to have it at all. It's just that the object is to make money from it.
That's right. But how much? Well, right now the city does make money off of it, and does fairly well. It sustains itself. So we fulfill two things here. We provide parking for tourists, and I imagine we regulate that parking so it doesn't get too over expensive. Because if you give it to the private hands, they're going to do demand type of pricing.
Well, that's
when the demand goes up.
That's what Mayor Jim wants to do anyway.
He wants to go demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When it's when it gets real busy, they're going to charge more, and when it's not, they're going to charge less. But anyway, we'll see what they say about it.
Nothing's more off-putting to a tourist though that wants to come down here and now has to pay $100 for parking. And he's got his family, got his kids, grandma's in the car, and there's another $100. That's off-putting. I don't care where you are. If you have that kind of graduated system, when the demand is high, you charge more. That you're going to fill the parking lot up, but you might not get that tourist back again. Although I don't think that's much of an urgency here. We always have enough tourists. But.
Okay, so we'll see what they say about the parking budget, because like I say, it's hard to understand exactly what's going on until the final quarter is in. We really don't know where we stand. Everything is just up to September 30th. So we have to get that last quarter in, and then we're really going to find out how we did as far as the revenue side of it and that goes. From what I can see, we're probably going to be out from what I figured out, what I extrapolated, but who knows? It could be worse. It could be better. I don't know. It's hard to tell. We'll find out when the final numbers come in the new year. They'll have a final wrap up of the park, and then we'll see exactly where we're at with it. Oh, capital item 4.1, capital prioritization framework, a system that rates capital expenditures by priority to help wade through the myriad of capital projects that the city staff are presented with each year. Yeah, so I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, what the heck, let's prioritize. What do we really need? What do we want to do? Our wish list, but what do we really, really need?
Wants and needs, yeah.
Yeah.
Right down to that.
Yep. And then item 5 on the consent agenda, looking for council to receive the parking fund report. And 5.2 was looking for council to receive the library capital budget as well. Now, the library capital budget, they're looking for not that much money, $254,000. Now, this is all contained, and it really won't come to council as other than approving some capital expenditures to fix some equipment until we get into the operations budget where the library actual amount of money they need to operate during the year comes out. The capital budget makes is very little compared to the 5.2 or 3 million they're going to want this year to run the libraries in Niagara Falls. So they're just getting this okay because they want to see, they get a pool of money and then they spend it. But everything's got to be okayed by city council. But they're their own entity in reality. They have a board and everything else. So they're just letting council know that they want to spend $254,000 on several capital expenditures. It's fully funded. Well, of course, because it's going to come in with the library budget when we hit the operations part of it, and they're going to use that money that we give them to do some capital repairs, which you're telling them.
Yes, libraries underutilized. I think it's a good thing to finance the libraries, but the services they have are underutilized. There's a great many things you can do there. I sent an old lady from my building there to learn about computers, because she was always messing up, and she asked me to help her with it. And I said, I know they do that at the library. Phoned the library. She went there. She was tickled pink. She was there for 45 minutes with a single teacher and taught her everything she needed to know. So how many people know that, though?
Yeah, exactly.
How many people would have actually taken advantage of it that didn't know that? So those are underutilized. And I think it's because the information is underrepresented, or the library is underrepresented in so many ways. So there you have something that the city has that can do a lot of good if the information got out there, and could make a lot of people's life a lot easier just by going there for an hour and learning how to use their computer. And you can do that at the public library.
Yeah. So what they're going to get is $93,000 from development charges. They need $20,000 for new lighting at the new Stafford Library, which is surprising. They just put that into effect. That they just rebuilt that whole thing and spent millions on it, and now they need new lighting because the lighting isn't right.
That surprises me too, because I'm part of Kiwanis, and we've given $25,000. Well, actually, our last installments in a few months of $3,333, and that would make $25,000 all in all. And that does surprise me that we need new lighting so soon.
Yeah. Then we have $30,000 they want for a new phone system. Another $38,000 for a production server replacement and backup server replacement. And $42,000 for something called Smart Shelf. Then $51,000 for hold lockers. So I don't know what all these are. We'll see if council approves that. They probably will. And then we'll get to the operations budget. That's when the big 5.3 or 4 million is going to come into place. So I don't see too much about that. There may be some discussion. Lori Lococo is on the board, I believe, Councilor Lococo, so she'll be able to explain probably everything they need if anybody has any questions. But
yeah, she's the one that reached out to us for that donation for Stanford.
Yeah,
and it really was in our wheelhouse. So we were pleased to donate.
And that's basically it. That's adjournment. So they're going to go through all that. You're going to have to sit and see what they say to these expenditures. You're going to have to sit and wait and see if they're going to actually save you any money. See if they okay Lori Lococo's requests to save money. Last year, they didn't. I don't know if we'll see anything different this year. We might see some requests they say no to because it is an election year, and We're going to remember the guys who want to save us money or the guys who raised our taxes for the last 4 years after this year. So we'll see, Dave. What do you think? What's your?
I think the counselors are much more mature now. They've been in for a while. They may have the wherewithal to do a little digging and looking for efficiencies, but this is what's going to like. I found this in there, which I thought was probably as close to a mission statement as city staff wants you to have. And there was a statement in this budget that says effective managing the city's financial resources to meet our current and future obligations without relying on external funding sources or sacrificing our ability to deliver essential services to our residents. So that I thought was a bit of a mission statement sat in among that. And I think that is what they're going to get from the Penguin. He's going to give them, in so many paraphrases, effectively managing the city's finances and resources without sacrificing ability to deliver, which means we need more money.
Money. Hey, you know what? This is a game they play every year. 6% increase is like what they kind of release, and everybody's going like this, and then they'll come in at like, well, they'll gaslight you because they'll come in at like 3.9, right? And then everybody go, oh, geez, they saved us like 3, 4, 4, 6 minus 4 is 2. Oh, they saved us 2%. And then what they'll do is say, well, the 3.9, but then we have to add the 1% asset management plan onto that, and that makes it 5. so they're not going to save you anything. Let me
what
put
do
it
you
this.
think they're going to ask for, all in all?
I think it's gonna be like something like 3.9% plus the percent, so 5%, like they did last year. The only other budget that veered away from the 5%, and they'll say it's the cost of living or whatever it is, that not inflation, because inflation's running around 2%, maybe a touch lower depending on what's going on. That's why St. Catharines came in at 1.78 and Niagara Lake came in at 1.8. So they're not going to be down there. Forget about that. It's not going to happen, even though we have $20 million that those other cities don't have. I think they're going to do the usual tap dance around it. The least we can do is like 3.9. They'll add the 1% on, 4.9. Same as last year. We didn't increase your amount, but they did because it's compounded. That 4.9 is on top of the 4.9 the year before, on top of the 4.9 the year before, on top of the catch-up budget of 7.9. It's compounded. So they'll divide it by the last 4 budgets by 4 and tell you, oh, we only raised it like 3.5%. But in reality, it's more than that. They're going to gaslight you, right? So that's what I think is going to happen. I don't know.
I think they're going to ask for around 6%.
You think so?
Yeah, and then they will miraculously look as if it's like a professional wrestling match. Basically, the bad guy starts to win, right? Yeah. And he says, "I need 6%," and he starts throwing everybody. And then suddenly, the good guy gets a real inspiration, and he comes back and he beats him down for 3% or 4%. And that's what it will. But it was always going to be 4%, no matter what.
Yeah, and everybody cheers. Yeah, we did it. We did it for you, taxpayers. We took them from 6%, that staff, and we told them. Yeah. Hey, listen. They have a private secret meeting a week before the budget comes up at City Council between all the aldermen or councilors. I still use aldermen. All the councilors, and I love when Nick D. Benedetti was calling. Who is he calling? Councilman Lococo. But anyway, instead of saying Councilor Lococo, he was calling her Councilman. I laughed because that's old school, right? But anyway, they're all told, they're given the riot act and told what's going on here. And listen, we don't want any da da da. And I'm sure they do. It's all
Yeah.
I don't want to say scripted, but I'll say I'll use this word, scripted.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, the powerful penguin, if you want to look at as a professional wrestler, the powerful penguin would come into the ring, start knocking everybody down.
Yeah. He's big enough.
Then Jim with his sparkling tights would just jump back and beat them all that down. And, it was already scripted for 4%, but now they can say they defeated the powerful penguin.
Oh,
and
man.
he will go back to his evil lair.
Anyway, there you go. Look for it. I found 5.6 million. Let's see what City Council is going to find, and we'll go from there. It'll be interesting on Thursday when I come in to do the show to talk about this, to find out exactly where it all went down, what happened here. But we did go up from about 50 million to 78 million, a substantial increase in the capital budget. So to me, that means that in the operations budget, they're going to have to find $28 million because they got to find it somewhere. That extra money's coming from somewhere. It's got to come from the operations budget and any other funds and reserve funds and everything else. We'll see what they're going to do, but that's in January. So watch tomorrow. You'll see what's going on. Any last words, Dave?
No, I don't think there's any corruption here. I've heard in other cities where, let's say they have to buy some equipment. Let's say they buy equipment, they put out the money for it, and then quietly take it back and get the money back for it, and then go on a holiday. Well, that has happened in the past. I don't think it's happened here so much, but I think it's just a matter of finding efficiencies. I think they're going to try. I don't know if the councilors have the wherewithal to be able to cipher through a lot of this, to be able to find
that's a good point.
Efficiencies. When you have somebody like Burgess who knows all the arcane language, but he's also very knowledgeable. It's very hard to argue against somebody that has a lot bigger knowledge base than you do. So it behoves the councilors to try to match that if they can. If they see an opening for some efficiencies, they have to be able to match the penguin word for word.
Yeah, well, you got to find the gaslighting and figure out what's gaslighting and what's actually we need. So that's what it's all about. See if councilors can say it, but ultimately, city council has the final say. Doesn't matter about staff; they work for taxpayers. City council tells them what to do. If you got a good council, so city council says, "Hey, we want this in at 2%." They're going to go back and they'll come back with fear mongering and everything else. The council's got to say, no, we're not cutting that. Here's what we're going to do. See, this is why council has to know their stuff. They have to come up with these numbers, and they got to stick together and say, here's where we're getting rid of. They got to vote on it. Here you go. And that's that. If they don't, and they just want to let staff run the city, then we're going to get what we get. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah. And right now, Jason Burgess might be listening to this show and wondering, who the hell is a penguin? I hate the guy. I've never met him.
I don't hate him. I like Jason Burgess. He has some good ideas, but they don't like his ideas a lot of times. Like when he wanted to move the dispatch and save us $250,000, $500,000, and $800,000 in capital costs for the new next gen 911. He told them, I'll save you $1 million on the budget, but you're probably not going to like what I'm going to save it on.
And they didn't.
So there you go. Anyway, my name is Paul K. Lemire. Your city, your voice. Dave Wheeler in for this. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday, 4680Q Radio live at noon. You can catch the YouTube podcast of this show at 3 o'clock on YouTube. You just go there and check it out. It'll be there. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow at noon. Promises made, promises kept. I'll be here. We'll be talking more about this. I'll be talking more about this tomorrow. There might be some additions from councilors who never got their recommendations in. They're supposed to be in on Friday, as far as I knew, but who knows? They could show up tomorrow morning, and I'll talk about them. Other than that, support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and Hamill Machine Company. I'll see you tomorrow at noon. God bless you all. Have a great day. And make sure you tune in.
Unfortunately, I predict you're going to be angry all week long. And Pete's Pizzas telephone's going to be rung off the hook.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to order like 3 or 4 of them at a time.
Yeah.
Have them on hand just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. So, well, it's either that or Valium or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's better to put your pizza in the oven than your pills on your shelf, I guess, you know.
It is. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.